What's up, YouTube? This is Red Zone 101. Hope everyone's being safe out there. I hope you're doing well. I got a subject I wanted to talk about. Actually, a story that I want to share with you. And first of all, before I get into it, I wanted to just say this. All of my videos, all of my videos are based on self-defense, meaning you're in imminent danger, you got to protect you, you got to protect your family. Okay? And I try to talk about doing it the right way. There's a lot of ways, there's a lot of wrong ways to do it. And I always try to come from a legal standpoint. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not in law enforcement. I'm just somebody with a lot of experience. Okay? I've got lots of friends that are police officers and that are in law enforcement. And, we talk. And I try to share with you the little bit of knowledge that I have. That said, this video is going to be on when to, and when not to pull the trigger. In other words, when doing something for the right reason can still be the wrong thing to do. In other words, your heart is in the right place and you're trying to do what's right, but it turns out to be the wrong thing. And that's what I wanted to talk about. And that's the story that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to get right into it, okay? A couple of years back, I think maybe 3 years back. I'm thinking it's more like 2 years back. Me and my wife had just come back from the movies. And, we got a little dressed up. This was back before COVID. You didn't have to worry about standing next to somebody. You didn't have to have a mask on. So anyway, we were just coming back from the movies. We just come into the house, parked the car, came in the house. We're about to sit back and relax. And next thing we know, we hear somebody screaming outside the door. Somebody screaming, saying, "Help, help." So I'm like, oh, come on. What's going on? I mean, I just want to relax. I just want to chill, right? So my wife goes to the door, right? She looks out the door, and I'm like, babe, what's going on? She says, you won't believe this. Some guy has got some girl and trying to stuff her into a car, and she's screaming for help. So I'm like, are you serious? She said, yeah. So I go grab my firearm, put it in my holster, because I don't know what the situation is, but I got to check it out, right? So I open up the door, I go on my front porch, I look down the street, and sure enough, some guy's got some girl sideways trying to stuff her into a car. She's screaming, help me. She's holding onto the door like this. Help me, help me, help me. And I'm thinking, man, okay, I don't want to, but I got to do something, right? So I start walking down the street because it's about, I think maybe 2 or 3 lots past my house. And I walk up, I'm like, dude, what's up? And the guy looks at me, doesn't blink, and says, hey, mind your own business. And he's stuffing her, trying to get her in this car. The girl, I'm like, yo, dude, what's up? I'm trying to, hey, what's going on here? The girl looks at me, and you can see tears coming down her face. She's scared. She's like, I don't know this guy. Please help me. He's trying to stuff me in this car. So I'm like, yo, man, let her go, right? So I talk to the guy. I'm like, yo, let her go. The guy looks at me and is like, mind your own business, right? So at that point, I drew my firearm and I said, look, you're not taking her anywhere. Let her go now. So now my intentions were right because I'm like, this girl's being abducted. I'm not going to let her become, you know, uh, another missing persons case or, you know, um, anyway. So long story short, there's this lady with them, right? And the lady starts slowly coming over to me and says, sir, you don't understand the situation. This girl is a runaway. We're trying to get her back home. So I'm looking at her and I said, okay, if that's the case, Because my wife at this point, she's calling the police, right? And telling them that there's a girl that's being abducted. We need somebody out here fast. Okay. So I tell the lady she's a runaway. And the lady's like, yes, she's a runaway. We're just trying to get her back home. Now, the guy who's trying, who was trying to throw the girl like in the car, stuff her like in the car, he stops. He's still grabbing her, right? He will not let her go, but he gets on the phone and he says, Mama, Mama, hey, such and such is about to get me shot out here. There's a guy with a gun. And so at this point, I started thinking, okay, there's more to this story than meets the eye. So I look at the lady and I said, she's a runaway? She said, yeah. I said, okay, then we're going to wait till the police come. Nobody's leaving, okay? Because I'm trying to figure out, are they lying? Are they part of a child trafficking, human trafficking organization, like or whatever? But the bottom line is, I'm thinking, the girls told me she doesn't know either one of them, okay? And is asking for my help, right? So I'm like, no one's leaving, okay? We're staying right here. Now, at this point, the girl breaks away and starts running. So now the guy runs after her, right? Catches her, pins her to the ground, and I'm running over too. And I'm like, yo, dude, chill, right? Well, don't be so rough. And like he looks at me and said, man, she's my sister. I'm trying to get her home. So I'm like, she's your sister. And he's like, yes, this is my sister. Now, the girl looks like she's only about 14, 15, okay? So I'm telling him, look, you're not taking her, okay? We will wait for the police to get here. They can handle it, but you're not leaving with her. So next thing you know, state police pull up, right? They see him on top of the girl holding her down. They tell him, let her up now. So he's like, okay, I'll let her up, but please hold her because we're trying to get her back home, okay? The police at this point, they're not hearing it. They grab him, push him up against the squad car, and they handcuff him. He's yelling at them, don't let her go. Don't let her go. We've been trying to find her. So, long story short, long story short, okay, um, she runs away. Police don't try to stop her. After doing an investigation and making a few calls, they found out he was telling the truth. The girl actually was a runaway. The girl was his sister, and they were just trying to get her back home. Now, you can imagine the way I felt at this time. I mean, like at this point, I felt like a piece of crap. I'm like, whoa. But how was I supposed to know? This girl's yelling, please help me. I don't know them. And the guy's trying to stuff her into a car. So even though my intentions were right and I was doing something for the right reason, it was still the wrong thing to do. Now, at this point, the police, they let him go, and the guy's mother shows up, right? This guy looks like he's about 18, 19 years old, right? And his mother shows up. Now, the lady that was with him says, that's the guy right there. That's the guy that had the firearm. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be bad, right? Because I drew my weapon. And like I said, I drew it for the right reason. But I still drew my weapon. Now, I didn't shoot him. I didn't fire a shot, but I drew my weapon from my holster. So I'm expecting this guy's mother to come over and read me the riot act. I mean, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting on it. She walks over to me and I say, ma'am, first of all, I'd like to say I'm really sorry. She said he was abducting her. She said she didn't know him. Okay, I was just trying to help. The lady looked at me and said, you know what? I understand. And I wanted to come over and I wanted to thank you. And I looked at her, thank me. She said, out of all the people here, you were the only one willing to come up and try to help her. And then they told me she's been a runaway for I think about a month or more. And then the son, the one that was trying to push her like into the car, came over to me, tears in his eyes, and was showing me pictures and saying, "This is my sister, man. We've just been trying to locate her and bring her back home." And I felt, like I said, I just felt really low at that point. But he said, "Man, I'm not angry with you. You were trying to help her. You didn't know." So, but I thank God that I wasn't overzealous, meaning that when I saw him trying to push her into the car, I didn't draw my weapon and without even listening or else assessing the situation, boom, shot him. That would have been a really messed up situation. And that's where, number one, I said, with me, when it comes to self defense, first thing I do every morning is I pray for the Lord's guidance. Lord, lead me in the right direction. Um, you know, just help me to make it through the day. So, with that said, I believe the Lord was holding my hand, okay, was holding me back and saying, okay, look at the situation, okay, something's not right here. Again, knowing when to pull the trigger and not to pull the trigger. Doing something for, meaning your intentions like are right, but it's the wrong thing to do. And nobody can tell you when and when not to pull the trigger. This is something you have to assess, something you have to decide and realize that even if you're in the right and you draw your weapon and you fire it, whether it's in self defense of yourself, your family, or trying to protect someone else, there are consequences. You could be 100% in the right, but that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be some legal ramifications for what you just did. What am I trying to say? It's an awesome responsibility to have a firearm, okay, or to have something for self-defense, whether it's a burner, pepper spray, or whatever. Because when you choose to use these things, make sure it's for the right make sure you're in the right. Because if you're not, I thank God that the situation I just told you worked out for the best. Now, granted, the young lady did run away. The police were looking for her, like after they found out that she was a runaway. I'm not sure if they found her or not. I hope they did, because for a 14, 15-year-old girl to be out on the streets, as I said, that's a messed up situation. Okay. So, like I said, this is Red Zone 101. Guys, okay, sorry. When I think back at it, it just really makes me realize how close she came to almost getting her brother shot. If it had been with somebody else, like I said, somebody who was just trigger happy, someone who wasn't willing to look at the situation and look at both sides and stop back, and step back and say, okay, maybe there's more to this than what meets the eye. This wasn't a situation where, he had a knife on her, he had a gun. I didn't know whether he did or not. That's why I took my firearm out there, because I'm thinking if somebody is brazen enough to try to abduct a young lady in broad daylight, that's a dangerous somebody, and I want to be prepared. Um, I'm just glad that it worked out, that I didn't fire my firearm, because I'm trying to think, do I kill the car? Meaning, do I shoot the car, so take out the tires? And that may not be the right thing to do, I know. But this is what was going through my mind like at the time, because I didn't want to shoot him. But, you know, worst case scenario, I wasn't going to let him leave with that young lady, especially when she said she was being abducted. People, get all the facts first, okay? At least try to. And pray. Because like I said, this is my story. When trying to do the right thing can actually be the wrong thing to do. I thank God it had a good ending. I'm hoping that she's back home. I'm glad that nobody got hurt. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble. This is Red Zone 101. You guys be safe out there and pray always. You never know. Peace.